In this review, we'll take a quick look at the case of Lost Boy Larry. And this took place in 1973, and it's kind of based in New Mexico. And it's quite a story. I think you'll relate to it quite well if you like unsolved mysteries and stuff like that. And let me get on the screen here. And this took place on August 7th, 1973, and Larry was a youth who was out hunting with his dad in a pickup truck, and their pickup truck overturned. They had a CB radio, and he was calling for help. His dad was injured or perhaps had a heart attack. And there's New Mexico on the screen there in the yellow. Let me point it out real quick right there. Okay, and that's where the calls were coming from, and the calls could be heard in Arizona as well as California as well as parts of Canada. So the atmospheric conditions allowed the CB radio to travel quite a ways, and is believed they were in the Red Rock Canyon part of New Mexico. Again, New Mexico right there. And people who conversed with him on the CB radio said he sounded panicky. And hundreds of people searched. It was 150 people total, 30 aircraft, including military aircraft. And let me get a different screen on there real quick here. One moment there. And there we go. And let me get that screen on there. Take a moment there. And as you can see, when you search in mountainous areas, it can be difficult to find people. There's streams, there's endless roads, there's hills, valleys, and everything. Like there's an airplane searching there. Now, at one point, Larry stated that he could see the lights from a helicopter or an aircraft of some type. And at that junction, aircraft were in the sky with their lights on. So that kind of backs up the story a bit. And Larry switched channels several times. His battery began to go low. And let me get a CB radio on there. And here's, back then CB radios were quite popular. And let me get one on there. One moment, please. I'm sorry, here's an article about the case. And let me get that on there. And there's an article about the case, and looks like this took place in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It says the active search for a small boy believed to be lost somewhere in Mexico was ended yesterday. And let me get that. I got some interruption there. And there's the article again. And let's see what else it says. The signals said that the boy's name was Larry, and that he and his father had been in an accident. The boy said his father was dead or injured in their pickup truck, and he did not know where he was. And let's see. Let me get a picture of a CB radio on there real quick. And there's what a CB radio looks like. And back then, those were kind of new, and people had them in their cars, in their homes, in their sometimes in their businesses, and they could travel quite a ways, provided the atmospheric conditions were quite good. And looks like that's a contemporary one. And let's see what else I'm going to tell you about this story. And as I said earlier, his battery slowly faded out, and people thought they were copying him on their own separate CB radio, and no trace of Larry was ever found. And despite a massive search, which had lasted for 5 days, no trace of him was found, and nobody ever came forward to say it was a hoax or anything. Anyhow, it's a rather interesting story, and if you interested, you could just go to the internet and type up Lost Boy Larry 1973, and there's a few articles on it, not all that many. It's never been profiled on Unsolved Mysteries or anything. I've never seen it on television in any capacity. And let's see, what else do I have on here? One moment, please. And there's the map again. And it's quite a story. And like I said, there was never any resolution or anything. However, people who did converse with him over the CB radio during that time frame insisted he was legitimate, and he sounded panicky, and he was a youth. And I guess that should do it. And if you heard about this case before, hopefully it's a good flashback. If not, hopefully I'll introduce it to you for the first time. And let me get to a final screen on there. One moment, please.